Suzette,
Yes,
Women Fire Food. Kyk nou net vir ons, né?
I know,
Jy het nou
right?
gedink from jalapeno poppers en chili sauce. Sien ek jou weer op social media. Ek is betrokke in social media and here we are with you today. Let's climb a little bit into Women Fire Food. I kind of feel that if we need to start this on the right path. So I have got a client of mine that I would like to introduce you to. It's not that I brought nothing, maar ek het fokol gebring. So kom ons kry eers 'n bietjie 'n ordentlike apparel sodat jy ordentlik kan braai.
Dis asof jy geweet het ek het eenarig.
Nee? En hier word mos natuurlik fokol gebraai.
Asseblief, ja, the hairs, man.
The hairs, yeah, you can't get
hare,
it's not gonna help with the stench, but
As
I brought one for myself as well.
Ja, asseblief.
So
Twinsies.
a big shout out to Zalise from Fokol.
Kyk hoe mooi lyk ons.
Huh? Ons like any vibe.
I know, right? Excellent.
So obviously, first and foremost, thank you for having us here. Can I pass you this? While we're busy, let me tell you why we've got a microphone that can actually phone. Equipment failure. So the people watching this is, of course, people interested in social media, working in social media, content creators, influencers, and sometimes your equipment drops you, which happened today. One little cable. So we've lost the camera angle, but we've got a microphone.
So technology dropped you and you dropped your phone, it seems.
I would prefer if you don't maybe show everybody where we started and where we are, but
Sorry.
hey, it makes for a good story. There's one reason that I'm here today, and that's obviously we saw Women Fire Food on TikTok, Instagram.
So it means it's working.
It's working, absolutely. We work in the industry. Obviously, my team is standing behind the cameras, and it's actually really cool, not just to see where you started from with the chili sauces, but you obviously that passion of creating food and making something is now where Women Fire Food is at. So maybe first and foremost, let's start kind of why Women Fire Food. What's the concept? What is the purpose of the brand? How did that brain fart? Hoe het dit ontstaan?
I would like to think that everyone can braai, but for women, it's kind of like an unspoken thing. So as soon as you do that, people already put you like in a little box, and I feel that needs to change.
Cool.
So I started with my page. The idea was to teach women how to smoke and to braai, like the American smoking and all that. And then men actually said, can we join? Which I now opened the page, and I'm like, it's fine, let's do something where they can also join in. So yeah, this is what it's all about. I'm teaching people how to braai and smoke, and funny enough, you would think that a lot of people, because we're South Africans, a lot of people know how to braai. I have people that ask, the most straightforward questions, and I don't mind answering those. I help where I can.
Obviously, I might not want to say it too publicly, but I am actually English. I believe I can braai, but do you find a lot of Afrikaans people that can't braai?
Ja, nee.
Yes, no. Ja,
Yes,
nee.
nee.
Say.
Yes, nee.
So what's the purpose of Women Fire Food? Like, waartoe gaan jy met die brand? What is the idea behind this concept? Obviously, it's fun to make food, but at some point, it needs to make an income. There's an idea behind this whole thing. I mean, it's like a te braai, maar what's the point?
The funny thing is, it wasn't actually that. The idea was, to teach people how to braai and to smoke as a fun thing, because we were all like with COVID, we kind of had to do this whole thing to keep ourselves busy. And people asked me to join a WhatsApp group, which I done, and they asked me to, on this group, post videos and stuff of how we teach them to smoke, which I done, and then we just kept the group. And because way back we were just like a couple of people on a WhatsApp group, I started with a page on. You actually
the chili club, right?
You actually told me to do that. I done a group, and the group is obviously the part where people can join in and they post their stuff. Where with the page is a little bit more controlled, which I like, so it's more business wise. And now because of that, I got sponsors in because they like the idea of how I use the products.
Oh wow!
So we have big names on board that obviously help us to promote the whole thing of women braaiing. And being Women's Month, we might as well push it to the limits.
Oh, so timing is perfect.
Timing is perfect.
Timing is perfect. The brand's on board. I mean, was that kind of was the idea there to try and get people to collaborate and to get on board with this? Because I think the cool thing with braai, I mean, a braai tang, a braai voorskoot, a grill, a rooster, kolle, there's so many different elements, and I'm looking at the stunning plankie that we've got here at the back, and maybe we can chat about what is it, the braai warehouse?
Yeah.
That's quite cool. So we'll definitely get a shot of that in a moment, because so is that someone that you're collabing with? Because your logo's burnt into it. I mean, it looks freaking fantastic, but you're using these in the videos?
I am actually, because the thing is, I won a prize where I won a ton of wood, literally a ton of wood. Have you ever in your life seen that? Anyway, so I got that, and then I got the plunky board from the Braai warehouse, and then few other names that were involved. It's Willoughby's, Brandewijn, those people. I can't mention all of them. I seriously need to sit down and remember all of them. But I must tell you, and also just to get back to your question of where do I see myself in this. When I started off, the idea was with the persistence that I have of, you know, people trying to get people on board, not just women, basically everyone. I went to a couple of big name brands and I said to them, listen, this is the idea, you know, with women braaiing. So a lot of women, they either braai for a couple of reasons. Either, you know, the actual whiskey that you just gave me.
Top. We'll touch on that in a second.
I was going to say that.
It's magic, eh?
I was going to say, you know, the opa's 'n bietjie getrek soos 'n venter trailer. Now you can't braai anymore, so mama needs to braai.
Sure.
So you have that, or you have women that actually prefer to braai because they can braai because now they get the opportunity, or, you know, single moms, or just in general, people that like to do this as it's not just a men's sport. And I went to these people and I said to them, this is the idea, and there were so many people, a lot of these people didn't even ask questions. They just sent me the stuff and said, use it in your videos, use it, we like the idea. And that's where we are at the moment.
So there's obviously there's a lot of businessy things going on in the background.
Yes.
I mean the opportunity for collaboration. So
Yes.
from what we see, being Aiden Media, myself obviously on social media, those opportunities for collaborations. You've got obviously the Braai Warehouse,
Yes.
that has sponsored the Braai Plankie, which obviously you use in your videos.
Yeah.
I know that Econo Foods, you use some of their foods or some of their products as well.
We're still in discussion with that. The guy that I used to chat to, he left the company, but he was quite keen. And one guy from Econo Foods, if you remember, Econo Foods is big. So someone from Econo Foods phoned me and said they saw the videos. Can I just send a link again? And that was not quite recently.
Crazy.
So they might pull me in, and then obviously when they pull me in, you need to be, you know, as backup. You need to help me.
Appreciate it. Anytime. We've got a team for you anytime.
There we go.
So obviously, you know, you're looking at the opportunity for collaborations. The fact that other brands jump on board, we see the behind the scenes and the reasoning behind it. But I feel obviously with social media, the power of social media, this is kind of a new way to do business, right?
It is.
There's,
It's a clever way.
It's a clever way.
Better way.
But it's value for both sides because you need the products to work with and the products need the exposure. So I kind of feel that it's a give and take relationship at all times. And I think maybe that's important to say for collaborations, for influencers working on social media projects. Collaboration, I think, is so underrated. And I think that is the power of social media.
It is, and I must tell you, there's a big gap for everything when it comes to that. Growing up as a child, one of the first things with ads, it actually caught my eye where they're like, a guy's busy driving, you know, like a beautiful path and all that around the mountain, blah, 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 blah. Then the whole kick, I would call it, of the video is not even the car. It's about something else. It's about, you know, like a brandy, say, for instance, or, you know, like the shoes the guy's wearing. I'm like, the whole video was 90% of it was the car and the beautiful scenery and nothing about that. And that always irritated me. My mom used to switch the TV off, you know, because it irritated me. Now that I'm doing this, I make sure when I use a brand or when I collab with someone, I make sure it's there the whole time. You see it the whole time. Just for you know, to have it at the back of your mind for everyone, to say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're using. And I've figured out so many things when it comes to braaiing, what works and what doesn't work. I mean, I've got the best tongs, I've got the best grit, I've got the best, and people will always want to send me something and then they want me to use it. But I mean, I do take in stuff and I use it first before I make the video.
Nice.
So I'm not going to...
You got to try it.
Yeah, I have to try it. If it doesn't work for me, I can't now just go and say, well, it was for free, let's promote this thing. It actually needs to work. So when you see my videos, believe me, it works.
It's been tested.
It's been tested and I've tried it myself and then I will promote it.
Fantastic. Absolutely love it. Suzette, we just spoke about all the different collaborations that you're busy with. You've put something here on the fire called chicken ribs. I'll be honest, I know chickens have ribs because I did have biology at school, but I didn't actually know that it would have this amount of meat on it. Yeah. This is another collaboration of yours, Ikuku, in Strand. Tell us about this.
This is actually chicken thighs. So they have the little one bone in there and then the meat around it. So it eats the same as a rib. So I also, believe me, I also thought it was like a small thing where you just kind of, you know, how big is a chicken? How do you get in there? So they pre-cook the whole thing for you and you just basically finish it off with a little sauce they gave on the side.
And actually give it with, eh? So this is like a finisher, you were calling it?
Yeah, finishing sauce. So you basically have your braaiing section here, you braai it, and then you just finish it with that.
Okay, so, I mean, another collaboration, as we said, in Kuku. The point of this, obviously, you use it in your own content, surely. I mean, you're giving this brand exposure. I feel both of you get value out of it. But, what is the next step here? Where do you kind of go with this if you're creating your own content? Maybe take us down that process. Obviously, you're on your ace, but you've got family that potentially helps you. Who helps you shoot your videos? Because your content's good. I mean, let's be honest, but how do you do it? Maybe
My
share
son,
it.
he's going to love this. I need to give him a shout out.
There we go.
He's in Australia. You'll see I'll be very quiet now for October because he needs to edit my stuff. But he believes in me, and he obviously edits the stuff, and he makes sure that when I collab with someone that I use the product, in all the shots and stuff like that. I feel there's a bit of a lack in the market when people use something that they don't use it often in the videos. So they would, like, maybe in the beginning of the video say we're promoting this brand, and then maybe at the end. But I mean, you don't see it on the paper, on the wrapping or something like that. You don't see how people open it. They just go on with their content and what they want out of it, and that's the wrong way to go.
So have you seen there's a bit of a shift in the way collaborations work, the way product placement works, because essentially it's always been kind of product front and center because you want to give it the maximum exposure. Where we see social media going, I don't know if you've seen the same, and perhaps you kind of changing your content for that as well. It's becoming less so about putting too much emphasis on it and kind of just having it in the background. It needs to come across more natural. Otherwise, at the end of the day, social media, there's so much fakeness out there. The point is it looks forced, right? So how do you work with these brands? Obviously, you need to give them the correct exposure, but you don't want to just make the whole video about them. Is there something you could share around potentially other content creators? How do you take those things into perspective to give the brand enough exposure, but not make it all about the brand?
I do feel that, in my sense, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, like a proper ADHD.
Sure. So we shouldn't be standing next to each other. This is never going to end.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be like an hour video. But the thing is, I feel that a lot of people are the lack of attention short. You see how when you go into a restaurant, people sit there and they scroll. They don't even know what they're doing. They literally just scroll. They wanted to watch something, then they would go back to it. So it's nice to have the brand in the name and then use it again and stuff like that, but don't make it feel forced. Make it as if it was a natural thing. You're using a Cuckoo's product here, you saw it in the beginning, you see the actual product, and you can finish off with, this is what we've done. But to mention it every 5 seconds, at some stage you're like, listen, what are you buying? I forgot.
Yeah.
Because you just keep on, it's as if you're getting paid almost.
And you're trying too hard.
I would love to be paid, but I mean...
Well, hopefully through this video, that's the whole objective, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be honest about what we're doing. Yeah, it's fun to braai. Yes, it's fun to get products and to use products and things, but at the end of the day, you need to generate some sort of income for all the effort, for all the time and everything you put into it. You've mentioned, obviously, your son does your content, so that's awesome. That's great to have. Do you find that him doing all the editing works best? Do you sometimes do any of the editing?
I prefer not to do the editing.
This is a loaded question. I'm going to be completely honest. This is a technical, loaded question.
I was going to say, I do leave it to the professionals. I feel that a lot of people want to do stuff themselves and they're not equipped to do that, and then actually do more damage. So professionals like you guys, if you can get someone in that knows what your brand is about, what it is that they're supposed to promote, and where people like us, the normal guy in the street, can use it, make it user friendly, and get someone professional, as I said, to do your videos for you. I'm now lucky with my son. He's quite intrigued with the whole videos and all that, so he kind of teaches himself all the time, which is to my benefit. But we're not all that lucky.
Can I share a little bit of feedback? It's a very technical question.
Yes.
Okay, so it was a technically loaded question, but I feel it's maybe something that we could share with you because it's actually very important. I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. So with social media, it's fast-paced. You're trying to get your content out as quick as possible, and one of the things is to repurpose content, use the same content across platforms. What I have noticed, and this is something that perhaps you can try and use in your design and share it with your son, is when you create a video on TikTok, everybody loves to create it on TikTok because it's got some of the best tools, right? But what oftentimes happens is you create it on TikTok and then you download the video. Now, TikTok has been incredibly clever. They've gone and put the little logo there so that when you post it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the different other platforms, TikTok keeps getting their own marketing. So incredibly clever. Here's the downfall. The other platforms want you to create on that platform too. So they essentially will start penalizing you in terms of your reach, in terms of your performance, purely because the logo is there. So for those that don't actually know, there's a website that you can take your TikTok video, upload it just to remove the logo. And so essentially what happens is when you upload it to Instagram and it's got that logo on, Instagram will recognize it, and then it'll penalize you that you don't get that reach, that you don't get the performance from that piece of content versus just not having the logo on or creating it on Instagram in the first place. So there's just something for you that you could
cool.
potentially incorporate and
clever.
see, and get maybe a bit of
Makes
extra
me
performance
clever.
out of your content.
I'll definitely use that. Well, I'll pass it on to him. He'll probably listen to this, tell his friends mom was on, I was going to say on TV.
On TV.
Similar, yeah.
Well, why
same
not?
thing.
It is the new TV. Come
Well,
on.
new TV is like, your voice on radio now.
Yeah.
And now I don't have to stuck my stomach in anymore.
Another question I might have for you is, do you want to share your most embarrassing post? Potentially the post that did the worst, got the worst comments, the most hate, potentially. Maybe share some of kind of the insight that you've had into social media.
Follow me, right? You can answer that question. You'll see where I posted my videos and where my son done the editing. So I think one of those, but yeah. No, but I actually have, I've got a post which now happened recently. I was busy in my yard. So a friend of mine, one of the big brands, they make their own rum. Manab Ram, got his name in there. Anyway, very nice guy.
Shout out.
So he basically, what happened was, he was in Cape Town. And we went to Hannes' stoop. So Hannes, we're all braaiing by Hannes' stoop. And I said to them, don't record me, don't film anything, because I am, I'm in my work where I just literally finished my braai and stuff like that. So I was just going to drop off one of the prizes. We were busy with the competition. And Hannes, being Hannes, didn't listen. So he recorded me. And I heard that someone said they're gonna knock or, clap a piece of cake into my face. Okay, klinkie reg, okay, that's my English now. But anyways, I'll polish it later. So they were going to put the cake into my face, and I stood like this, and I saw they brought the cake in, and I thought to myself, instead of them doing this, I'm going to do this myself. So I put my head into the cake, done it myself. Obviously, like, the cake is all over, and Hannes recorded this. And part of his video, he's like, oh man, Abram was here, blah, 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 blah. And here in the middle of nowhere, Suzette standing with a bloody piece of cake. Literally, my whole face is covered. And now I can't talk because my mouth is full of cake. So he's like, how's the cake? I'm like, So this is now, and I went to a local place here and I wanted to buy like a pasta machine. And the guy, the next morning, he sent me a video. He's like, do you know this woman? And he had a video of me. I've never met this guy in my life. He's now sending me videos of myself where I ate cake. I'm like, okay, so yeah.
And this was on social media?
It's probably still there.
Can we tag it in this video?
Go for it.
Oh, say.
While we're at it. Why not?
So taking off of that and maybe just going over into kind of your experience with social media content, being active on social media, building Women Fire Food. What are some of the things that you've experienced? Maybe hatred, negative commentary, some of the things that usually would turn people away from social media. Have you ever had to deal with anything like that?
I actually do, because when I started my page with the Women Fire Food, the idea was to teach women how to braai and smoke.
Sure.
And I thought that was going to be a thing. And I mean, to me, it made sense to just kind of keep it for women. And then because some setting on my things, and I mean, as I said, you guys are the professionals. If I had you way back, it would have been better. But I mean, anyway, so I just done my little bit, which I kind of thought this is how you do it. And I had a guy that said, yeah, but why do you only want to teach women? I'm like, are you telling me that a guy has an issue with me not teaching him how to braai? I'm like, I don't know if it's a good day.
Yeah.
Should I be upset? Should I be, intrigued by this or whatever? So I opened the whole settings and the platform and changed the settings, and they could actually join. So I do get people that they feel that a woman can't braai. And now by watching my videos, they can ask me actual questions, about braaiing and smoking. And I'm not really braaiing because I feel that a lot of people can braai more, but smoking especially. I mean, this has been around it's been around for years. I bought in so many smokers where people use the smoker 2-3 times. And then this one woman said to me, yeah, no, Willie only used the smoker twice. I'm like, firstly, who's Willie? Anyway, it was her husband. He used it twice because he didn't know how to use it. And I bought the smoker in, I changed it, and I sold it again. But they eventually got scallum. They started buying in smoked meat, opening the smoker, giving it to the family, saying, ta-da!
Oh, there, nicely smoked, nicely smoked. Heavy days. Okay, so but I mean, through your experience, you're getting exposure to different brands. You're getting exposure to different circumstances, to be fair, I mean, there's a status quo that you're going to have to break, which is manne braai en vrouens maak die kombuis skoon, right? Because that's kind of how it's always been. So let's just be honest and say it. I don't think that there's an issue with women braaiing. This is looking phenomenal. I'll be completely honest. I know it's live, but it's looking fantastic. So kudos to you for breaking the status quo.
Good to know. See, the thing with this whole thing is that with a lot of people feel, we spoke about it earlier, we said that they say that women are supposed to be in the kitchen, blah 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 blah. But technically, this is a stove.
This is a kitchen,
too.
isn't it?
This is a stove. So
Yeah,
I mean,
fair enough.
the heat comes from the bottom. You have a little bit of smoke, which adds flavor, blah blah blah. So it's the same idea.
Love
so
it.
now. Everyone knows the joke where the guy now he braais and everyone congratulates the guy and says, you know, thank you for the braai, but I mean the wife done all the prepping and blah blah blah. All he done is literally what I'm not doing. Thank you, Cuckoo. I mean they made it easy for today, but it's the same idea.
And do you ever take the meat out at 11:30 at night? Is that a thing?
Then I put it back and then I smoke it the next day.
Oh,
yes.
so all right, fair enough. I had to ask because it's kind of like a thing. You always have to take the frozen
stuff.
meat
of
out
course.
too
I mean,
late.
My dog is normally late for the braai. Him and his chummy, we say go fetch your frozen steak. Come on now.
I need to ask you because obviously we don't want to make this too long. Through your experience for potentially maybe other women out there, other content creators, it doesn't need to be in the food industry. What is something that you've experienced, maybe a burning question? If you had an opportunity to share a piece of advice, a piece of something that could potentially help another creator, and then potentially in the same voice, what is something that you've always wanted to know that you could ask me?
Well, it's a double question. So firstly, I would say for people that want to do something, just do it. I listened to one of your podcasts the other day where it said that if you're passionate about it, just kind of do it. So my next step with this is it was never supposed to be a thing, just like the Chili Club was never supposed to be a thing, was supposed to be a thing where I just kind of do it and I enjoy it and bring people together. Now, hopefully when women now see that we do this either way, we might as well continue and we might as well make it like a little group, you know, like a clan, like a
Love
following or something like that.
Love it.
Speaking of which, follow me. But
Absolutely. We'll tag you.
Thanks. But the thing is that I must say, I pick up a lot of stuff that you do. I mean, I listen to you on the radio, that you do your Radio Helderberg thing. You do your podcast and stuff like that. And if I have the time, I listen to it. There's always something that I pick up and I'm like, oh yeah. Okay, I didn't.
Because at the end of the day, it's about just sharing value, right? A little bit of insight, which is what you do. He has a couple of tips on how to prepare your meat better, how to get the smoker going. I mean, I watch your stuff too, so I can see, and the whole point of it is to deliver that value, right? So maybe now, if we could reverse the question, if there's something that you're struggling with, if you had the opportunity to have a professional in front of you, what would it be that you would prefer social media?
Yeah, I must tell you, I think that everyone with social media, we tend to kind of try and do everything ourselves. Firstly, you can't be the braai, you can't be the social guy, you can. If you're one person, you literally just do one meal.
Sure.
But I've done it myself where I'd done a short video, I think it was 10 minutes, not even, I had to cram it into 10 minutes, but it took me 2 days to do. Because firstly, you need to go, cut, pull in your stomach, no, you said this instead of the, okay, no, don't pull in your stomach, but I mean,
the preparation
that
part.
kind of thing. So with the whole shooting of the video, editing, all these things, you can get people like you guys that can do it for you and just edit the thing, do it professionally, and from that business, you might think it's going to cost me money now, but I mean, the long run is where you're going to benefit from this. You're going to get more work, and you're literally going to be someone that sits down, they're going to call you, say, okay, you need to come and braai. Everything is prepped for you.
Yeah, and you just do you, right?
You just do you, and then you can focus on what you're actually good at instead of trying to do other things.
And that's where you want to be at.
That's where I want to be.
I have to, and I appreciate the kind words, and I agree with you to a large extent, but I think as well, if I could play a little bit of a devil's advocate, if I had to give any pieces of advice to a content creator, and this is, I almost want to say across any industry, and it's a little bit more of a psychological thing, there's really only a few things that you really need to be aware of. Number one, the first 3 seconds of every video is vitally important. To get that thumb to stop, you need to make sure that, and that's why you see the videos like people are, I'm about to die. Hi, my name is Richard. I'm about to. So you right, to get that attention, because social media is so fast paced, so demanding. So the first 3 seconds vital. When you're doing your videos, and this is by no means advice, but just general advice, try and stick to 3 points. Try and stick to 3 points. If you're carrying across value, let's say, for example, you want to tell us the best way to prepare this chicken. There's 100 different things. But try and stick to 3. 3 seems to be the magical number. And if you watch TV, you'll see that things on average change every 3 seconds. The scene changes every 3 seconds. So it's got a lot to do with human psychology, keeping attention. But try and stick to a really captivating first 3 seconds of the video to get that attention. And then the value and the content of the actual video, try and stick to 3 points. It's the easiest to remember, makes your videos more effective, and people remember you a lot easier. So if I could part any piece of advice, that would be it.
My last advice would be, you keep on talking about 3, I talk about 1. So if you make food, instead of changing the whole recipe, and you want to change, you normally make your braai pie this way, you normally make your chicken that way, instead of changing, everything, change one thing.
Okay.
So what you do is you either add or you take away, just to kind of say, okay, I normally make it like this, I want to do something else. Instead of now saying, okay, honey and mustard chicken. So for instance, now you're going, you gooi like tomato sauce or something.
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
okay.
honey mustard anymore, you know, firstly. Secondly, now you're going in total different
different way,
direction.
yeah.
And now you're like, okay, but what did I do wrong? Now you need to trace your steps. So you're going to be like, okay, but I added chutney, and then I added tomato sauce, and then I added...
you actually
so
ended up
5
changing the whole
things,
recipe.
changing the whole thing, so it's not the same recipe. Then you rather say, this is lemon and herb, or
this is
honey,
my
and
experimental
this is-
recipe, let me show you.
But change one thing, either take away or add. That's
Brilliant.
That's what I would say about food.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Final question, potentially. Where are we going with Women Fire Food? Like, what is the total outcome? I gain that number one.
Where are we going, Pinky?
We're changing status quos. That is without a doubt, and respect for that. I don't see why women power shouldn't be a thing. I don't see why women shouldn't braai. I mean, if it tastes good and it's edible, by all means. And I'll be honest, there are some guys out there that can't braai. So I'll say that. So kudos to you.
You said it.
Where are we going with this? What is the end game here? What is the result? When have you reached the pinnacle? What is the whole purpose of this? This like om te braai, but why are we doing this?
I wanted to go as far as doing like a TV thing, because I feel not that I'm, happy or can actually do anything on TV, because I don't know if I'm a natural like that, because I talk for a living, so to kind of keep myself from talking too much, that might be an issue. But I do feel that if you can make this, I mean, it's fun. Firstly, men will watch it for 2 reasons: either to learn or to go kind of thing. So if they do that,
but you got the view at the end of the day. Eh?
Either way, they're still watching you. So and I'm just talking about men now. Women will actually learn something, or again, they will be like, and if they do the same. So eventually, then it's not about gender. Just do what you actually like to do. But for me, with the whole thing of, if this can actually be a TV program, we have all these people braaiing all the time. But I do tutorials, I do don't do this. I figured something out for myself, so I teach people in that sense, like the tongs. And then you actually go and you're like, okay, well, let's try and put all the tongs together. Let's do the chicken. How long should it be?
Yeah.
And the fact that with the smoking is now becoming a big thing in South Africa, where it wasn't actually something. Checkers is now opening a brand, Outdoor something. They are now importing smokers from overseas. This was never a thing.
Crazy. Now you're on the forefront, right? Because I mean, you've already built up attention, you've already built up a following.
Yeah.
So if we're moving into that smoking section,
Yes,
or
of
into
course.
that time, I mean, you're front and center.
I have people who want to send me smokers all the time, which thank you, but you should see my yard. So I can't take in any more smokers. It's not just about that. It's about the fact that I figured stuff out. I know what works. And I never thought I would own a Weaver, but I love it.
Nice.
Yes,
Shout out to Weaver.
I must say, I was like,
It's versatile.
Is that using a Weaver? Because we've got 2 now, by the way. But besides that, with the smoking thing, is that with all I want to do is teach people, and I mean, if they can use it, they're not teaching someone else. And it's how lucky is it to start in the morning, you smoke something, okay, it's going to take you a couple of hours.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
a brisket will take you anything from 8 hours onwards. So say, for instance, 8 hours, and whatever you made, people go like, oh wow, how awesome is this?
That
Okay, so
payoff.
don't mess it up.
payoff.
So the payoff, I mean, that is the main thing. So I try and teach you so the payoff can be good.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Suzette, thank you for this. I can't wait to sink our teeth into this.
Forgot to turn there for a moment.
Any parting words? Any last words to share potentially with our followers, your followers? Obviously, we'll tag you down below. And please go along and follow Women Fire Food, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Where can we find you?
Instagram, by the way. We spoke about Instagram. I kind of forgot I was on Instagram. You said don't say it, but I'm saying it. But anyway, the reason for that being is that, again, I am doing everything by myself. So if we have people, professionals like you guys, that can actually take something like that over and just run it for you, chances are, you get to a part where you can just enjoy the actual braaiing. You don't have to worry about, did I post this, did I post that? So you send a little video off, these people edit it for you, and that's that. I would change so many things. I mean, I've known you for years, and now that I know that you do this, and I'm now in the middle of this whole thing, and seeing what you guys can actually do, I highly recommend you. I've listened to all your things that you do.
Thank you very much.
On radio, and as I said, with the podcasts and Instagram and all these pages, don't do it yourself.
I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
We would, I know my team as well would be super excited to work with another content creator. And as you know, at Ada Media, we are collaboration based. Our whole purpose is to work with content creators. So influencers, content creators out there, give us a follow. And Suzette, from us and the team, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Cool.
Kom ons braai.
Lekker, kom ons braai.
Wat braai ons?
Kom ons braai. Apparently chicken.
Ja,
What was it?
fokol.
Well, fokol.